All right. Great. Well, Gavi and Ozzy, thanks for being here. We're going to get started. Let me just share my screen and get set up. Really glad you could join us. Um, thanks for joining us. We're really excited to have you with us. We are Eden Village West, and we are a sister camp of Eden Village Camp, who has been running No Body Talk this week, which has been this week and last week, which has been really impactful. And just coming around the end to finish up No Body Talk week with this today, and then there's a panel later tonight. Um, First picture is just a welcome. This is our farm. Obviously, a little bit more in the fall than we are looks in the summer, but that's just a great way to start. And this is who you're going to hear from. So I'm Brad Cohen. I'm the executive camp director. I've had the privilege of being the director for about a little over a year now, and I'll let Joe and Aubrey introduce themselves.
I'm Joe. I'm the assistant director. I've been with Eden Village West for about a year, which is very exciting. A year last month, so I guess 13 months now. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Aubrey. I'm the program director, and my first summer with Eden Village West was in 2023. So I feel super happy and blessed to be aboard with both Brad and Joe and all of you here to join us today. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Gavi, do you want to introduce yourself since we're a small group? Okay, no big deal. And welcome, Chloe, who's been helping to organize No Body Talk Week. We really, really appreciate everything you've been doing. So thank you. So the name of this session is called Choosing Words That Build Confidence, Kindness, and Jewish Values of Respect. And we're going to talk a little bit about what No Body Talk is. We'll talk about soul speak. We'll talk a little bit of how this relates to Judaism. We'll look at some different texts with Joe. We'll talk about how this actually builds confidence with Aubrey. And then we'll share one of our favorite quotes from camp at the end. So what is No Body Talk? No Body Talk is a simple yet transformative practice where we take a break from commenting on our own appearance or others' appearance, whether those comments are positive, negative, or neutral. And instead of "I love your outfit" or "Are you having a bad hair day," we create space for deeper connections and more meaningful conversations. And one of the things that stands out to me about No Body Talk, especially last summer as my first summer as director, is how ingrained it is into our language. I can't tell you how many times I found myself wanting to compliment somebody for a beautiful Shabbat dress or that they did their hair differently. And that I literally had to train myself. I would stop mid sentence, right? To not comment on their body or their clothes or something they were doing. And to step back and think about how can I connect with them as a person. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So
Yeah, body talk is a wonderful camp practice that we have, and it's actually weaved also into some of our other camp values. So I just wanted to highlight a few of those to teach a little bit more about how it ties into Eden Village West culture. First, being our culture of kindness is huge. It's something that we start talking about, and even in our staff interviews, we want to celebrate the unique gifts of each individual, seeing them as created in the divine image and focus on inner qualities rather than appearance. So this is a way in which we foster kindness and appreciation for what truly matters. Inclusive community is huge at camp. We want to honor the diversity of backgrounds, traditions, and identities within our community. And so No Body Talk helps create a space for people to connect on a deeper level, free from appearance-based judgments, maybe related to preconceived notions, or what we see on the surface. We focus on creative living at camp by being co-creators, nurturing personal health, vibrant culture, and ecological well-being. So a lot of this looks like creating our own music, creating our own sound, creating our own activities and plays, and sort of world building as the summer goes on. And removing body talk allows us to focus on that creativity, that exploration, and building meaningful experiences. One of my favorite camp values, though, is free to be who you are, which is really our way of saying helping campers to foster being their most authentic selves. And so oftentimes that means getting to explore with changing up how one might present themselves in the way that they speak, in the way that they interact with their gender expression and identity. And so No Body Talk supports this by creating a space where everyone can be themselves and sort of explore and experiment with their identity or presentation without fear of judgment based on appearance.
Hi,
So
I'm
how,
Kathy. Oh, sorry to
oh,
interrupt
please go
the
ahead. No, please
presentation.
jump
I just
in.
was on a different I was on a different call, so I couldn't actually talk. But thanks for having this. I don't haven't been to Eden Village yet. Heard amazing things about it. Considering it for one of my children. I'm a clinical psychologist myself, and my child is trans, and so just where and they're all my kids are too into materialism as more than I would like. So it's just a fascinating approach. One of the things I found really cool about this camp when I heard about it years ago, when I was living in New York. And I actually haven't heard about Eden Village West. So where's that located?
So we are in Sonoma County, California. So I don't know where you are currently, but we're across
Yeah.
from Eden Village Camp. We sort of bookend the United States together.
Gotcha. Okay. And so most of the campers coming from the West Coast then for your camp?
Yeah, Arizona, Los Angeles, San Diego, Brad and his family from Denver, and a few staff from there as well, Oregon, but all over, San Francisco, some of the northern county areas as well.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Of course. And thank you so much for joining us and sharing. So speaking of materialism, I'll jump into a little bit about how do we do No Body Talk. So one of the ways that we facilitate this culture is that we focus on avoiding wearing clothing with prominent status symbols, political messages, or branded logos. This is something that we make really clear on our packing list, both to staff and families. By doing this, we allow ourselves to approach each other with healthy curiosity without making assumptions about one's passions, views, or background, including socioeconomic. And this also aligns with our mission as a socially conscious camp, where we focus on social justice and creating a space where everyone is seen for who they truly are. We play with our appearance without comment. So we encourage fun and creative expression through clothing or hairstyles, but we avoid commenting on it, which helps No Body Talk act as an equalizer. So for kids who are queer, for kids who might struggle with body image, who are oversaturated with social media and body image messages, or for those who might be on financial scholarship, No Body Talk reduces the pressure to perform any identity, and it creates a space where everyone, regardless of background or identity, can feel safe and free from judgment about how they look, how they're appearing, how they're expressing themselves.
Amazing. So, what's the alternative to body talk? We like to encourage this idea of soul speak. And soul speak is essentially the opposite of body talk, where instead of saying, "Oh, hey, I really like your hat," or "I really like your shirt," or even commenting on like a logo on the shirt, like, "Oh, I love I like this picture because there's a picture of a Stardew Valley, which is a great game." And I actually commented, I said, "Hey, I really like your I really like your shirt. I really like Stardew Valley." And that was actually an example of body talk that I was still processing. It was early in the summer. But soul speak is this idea to not talk about what they look like on the outside or what they're wearing, but to really connect to the person, to connect to them on a deeper level and try and access somebody's soul or their neshama or the core of who they are, rather than what they look like, what their dress is, the outer part of a person. And this idea is to really be like, oh, instead of I like your shirt, being like, what's the story behind your shirt? Tell me like how you got it or why it's meaningful to you, and therefore we can connect on a deeper level, on a more genuine in a more genuine way to connect and maybe form a deep friendship based off of something rather than being like, oh, you wear Lululemon, I also wear Lululemon, that sort of thing. And at camp, we really support and teach our staff and our campers to relate to each other in a really authentic way. We call it authentic relating, and it's this idea of building deeper connections and being vulnerable with each other and asking people to form genuine connections, not through material things like, oh, you wear Adidas, I wear Adidas, but oh, you love pottery, I love pottery. Let's talk about our passions together, that sort of thing. And there are signs throughout all of camp about that remind us of who we are. Like we have Angel Walk, where people connect on a deeper level. All of our songs are curated to remind us and to teach us about who we are and who we can be. We have intentions and blessings before every meal, and we have constant gratitude through Moda Ani every morning. And so, yeah, next time you see somebody with a shirt, instead of trying to connect to them on a shallow level, be like, oh, what's the story behind that? What's the story behind that shirt? What's the story behind that hat, that piece of jewelry, whatever it might be? And so the question or one of the questions is body talk, no body talk slash soul speak, is it Jewish? And we have some Jewish sources. Uh, way back in the beginning of our Torah, we have God creating the first person, and God creates the first person out of the dust of the earth, and and God says, let's make humankind in our image, after our likeness, and so the body is something that is holy. The body is something that is beautiful. God created it. And made it after quote unquote our likeness, which is a big debate on what that means, but that's sort of besides the point. But then God takes this body and breathes a soul into it, and after God breathes a soul into the body becomes a living being, quote unquote. And so you can see that the body is really a vessel for the soul, and the soul is really the most important aspect. The soul is the most important thing. And you can see in this Talmud piece, which I love, it talks about how eventually the soul and the body will separate, and the soul is separated from the body, just like a hair is separated from milk, or a burr is separated um, from wool. And I love this idea, especially the hair in the milk, because it can be kind of difficult to take it out, but eventually it will come out if you try hard enough. And so the soul is connected, it's ingrained into the body, but they are separate. And the final quote in the bottom right here, you can see when we pass the dust, like it says, from dust to dust, the dust will return to the ground, and the life breath, that soul, will return to God. So the soul is really the most important part, and it's the part that we really want people to focus on, and not on the outer shell. Um, so the values of No Body Talk are really all about loving who you are, and like I said, connecting to somebody, and connecting to yourself on a deeper level. So we have these famous values of Judaism, which is lo tachmod beit v'chol asher l'recha. You shouldn't covet, you shouldn't be jealous of anything that is your neighbor's. And Ezehu Ashir Hasemech Bechalko, who is rich, he who rejoices in their lot. And this is the whole idea of this is, don't compare yourself to others. Don't think, oh, that person has very nice clothing like Lululemon, or this person is skinny or tall or shorter than me, or dresses in a certain way. It's really, this idea is of No Body Talk is really steeped in these values of, don't worry about what somebody else is wearing, but connect to that person for who they are, and connect to that soul for who that soul is. And this overarching idea is really comes back to Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, and this is this idea of love your fellow as yourself. And we want, this is a core value of Judaism. It's a core value of Eden Village West, and it's like this idea that we want everyone to love each other but the one of the most important parts of this phrase "V'ahavta l'orecha kamocha" is that you should love your fellow as yourself, which means you should love yourself. And the Torah is really teaches us that you should love not only your fellow, but you should also love yourself. And no body talk is really about connecting one soul to another soul, because on the inside we're really all the same. It's the outside presentation is really less important. What's important is having souls connect to each other on a deeper level and loving each other and loving ourselves. So yeah.
Thanks, Joe. So let's talk a little bit about the psychology of loving oneself, and focusing on relationships that go beyond body talk, and really build confidence. I'm going to talk about a little bit of research that shows that when kids and specifically teens focus less on their appearance and more on who they are on the inside, their self-esteem and sense of identity, are healthier. So to go through just three short findings from some famous child psychologists. First, Susan Harter found in 1999 that when teens feel emotionally supported and accepted for who they are, not just for how they look, their self-esteem actually improves, as do their relationships, coinciding with that. Tigeman and Slater in 2014 found that teens who focus more on external appearance, like social media or appearance-based friendships, are more likely to experience body dissatisfaction. But when relationships focus on emotional connection and deeper qualities, those pressures are minimized. And lastly, Eric Erickson said that during adolescence, kids and teens are figuring out who they are. So supportive relationships that value their inner qualities rather than focusing on surface level traits help them to build a stable and confident identity. So this is why no body talk is so important. When we focus on soul speak, connecting with, connecting with someone as a person, we help kids and teens feel better about themselves without the pressure of comparing. By focusing on qualities like kindness, creativity, or leadership, we're giving campers a chance to truly build their confidence, not just how they look.
So this is one of my favorite quotes, and it could be like this all the time, is really this idea that, at camp we form this bubble or this sanctuary or this safe space where kids and a staff alike can live this value and live in this space that is idealistic and is really beautiful, where you can escape from all the societal pressures of oh, you should wear this shoe or wear this shirt or wear this brand or whatever it might be. And unfortunately, it's not like this in an outside camp, but it could be like this all the time. And it's this idea that, we maybe it's not realistic to say real life is going to be just like camp in every single way, but we could pull different aspects of camp into our real life and say, you know what? Just like Brad was saying, I was just about to comment on somebody's appearance. I'm gonna practice being less materialistic. I'm gonna practice being focusing less on what somebody looks like and try and form a deep connection with someone. And pulling those aspects of no body talk into your real life. And maybe in 10, 15 years or so, maybe body talk will be fully banished from our society. You can a boy can dream. So yeah, so this is this idea of no body talk, and it could be like this all the time. Does anybody have any questions?